Hi everyone, it's Justine here from House of Mahalo. Thanks so much for joining me. So I'm on another using up mission. When we were doing our using up videos before, they were with our 1 and 1.5 inch circles. I still have circle videos to do, but I also have a bunch of these botanical book pages that I have had in my stash for about 2 years. And I'm just not getting through them. And I've also got a couple of these large sheets. And that's not all. I have a bunch of other botanical book pages, most of them from the same books, which for some reason, I'm just not using them. And I think it's because they're not things. So I'm on a using up pretty book pages mission. And I thought we would do the first video today. And I want to make some pocket pages. Nothing terribly exciting, but for those of you who are new, this might give you ideas. For those of you who are advanced, it might just give you a reminder to, get out your bits and bobs, use something up, do something with them, because sometimes we ignore these things, don't we? So the first idea I want to try is a pocket page like this. So we've got the pretty images glued together, and then inside we've got the pocket, so you get a nice big huge pocket for a big journal card or something. And we've got this little hinge inspired by my little golden book series. That will be what we would use in the signature. So pretend this is my signature. This would be able to be put into the sewing, like your pamphlet stitch would go through there. And then this little hinge could either be glued down as decoration, or it can be used for attaching another page or something over the top of it to hide it, which is probably what I would do. But for the purposes of today, we're basically just getting them to this stage, because then they're things that we can put away ready to use when we come to make our journals. Okay, so for this, you'll want 2 book pages that ideally come from the same book or that you've cut down to be the same size. Okay, so we're gonna have them be, back to back so that you can see the pretty flowers on each side. And the first thing that I want to do is make sure that they are the right size for my journal. So I know that I need to cut them down in height. So I'm just going to come along and cut that piece off, just checking that I've got it the same on both sides. And I'm going to cut the tops off. I'm aiming for around 8 inches or so. I think that's going to be a good size. So yeah, basically, size of my ruler is perfect. Okay, and then I want to decide where I'm going to have my hinge. So on this image, I have white space on either side. So I know that I want to have one of them be a hinge, which will be this one. So I want to cut this one down because the page is too wide, but also because I want those pretty florals and not as much white space around them. So I'm happy with that. And now we can just trim up this side as well, the hinge side. I don't want to cut into it lengthwise, but I just want to make sure that it's neat, in case you can see it in the book, in the journal. Okay, that's better. All right, so now we're going to glue them together like we would a pocket. So I'm going to glue top and bottom to keep things easy. That's it. Making sure we've got our book pages round the right way. We can then join them together. It doesn't matter at this stage, don't worry at this stage, if your book pages don't meet completely, because we can do some extra trimming. Like for example, mine overlap slightly, just where they've moved as I was gluing. It does not matter. And then we're going to glue down here. Essentially we're gluing this like hinge flap piece together. That's that. And then once it's all dry, we're just going to fold it over and make sure everything is sitting how we want it to before the glue has a chance to, you know, dry too much. And then we're just going to burnish this flap down like that. Okay, and then as I say, if you do need to do some final trimming, you can do so now. That's it, I'm happy with that. And now I want to put a thumb notch in the side here. So I'm using my 2.5 inch circle punch just to give me a nice big notch in the side. And then we have this nice, if I leave the glue to dry, we've got this nice big pocket. And just glue that back up. I will probably stitch around mine, so I will show you how they look when you stitch them as well, in case that is of interest. So yeah, once you leave the glue to dry, you've got this nice big pocket. And then either side, you've got this really nice imagery. And then, as I say, this flap here will be hidden inside something, ideally, or it can be part of your signature. But yeah, ideally for me, I would hide it. Now for me, I'm not a huge fan of these numbers down here. So I'm actually going to chop those off. Okay, so that's all ready now, and I've done the inking as well. So for me, all I would do is add labels. So for example, where we've got these numbers, I would probably want to cover some of that. And maybe if it's a little bit blank on here, then I would probably come in with some more labels. So let me just do this side first to show you. These are Tracy Fox labels. I love to use them with Nature and Botanicals. She has all different types of sets. I have 3 of her sets now, or maybe even 4 actually. I have a bunch of them. I'm just overlapping them just to add a little bit more interest to the page, like that. Simple, simple. And then on here, I probably want something, because there's quite a little bit of white on here. So maybe I would do a little bit of like my T-ring stencil or something. But I'm thinking I'd quite like something down here maybe. Quite like how this one looks just down here like that. So I'm going to go with this one. And now we have a page ready to go for our journals, and you can make a whole bunch of these and just have them waiting in your stash for when you're you know, working on this kind of a theme. For me, I was just ignoring the book pages because they weren't things, so that's how those have turned out. I didn't add any labels to this one because there was only one number up here, which is fine, and the rest of it is there's a lot of flowers going on, so I thought that was enough. And then obviously this one, I've just covered up some numbers with these, and then we have these. Are they the same size? Not quite. I think these ones turned out slightly wider. I'm not sure why. Maybe the difference in image. But they're still under 6 inches, so they will be fine for my usual sized journals. If not, I can just cut into them a little bit. So I'll double check it before I go off and do the sewing. So at the end of the video, I will do the sewing and show you how they look with the stitching around, because that might add a little something to them as well. So there we go, that is 4 book pages used up. For my next idea, I have these 2 large book pages. I love those daffodils, that looks lovely, but I prefer this side, and I wouldn't use this and this together in a journal for me personally. We also have these white lilies, goes that way, and there's not much going on behind it. So for this idea, because these are quite large, I'm actually going to fold them the other way, so that they meet top and bottom like this. Just give that a little bit of a burnish down. And then I'm going to fold them in half again. Like this. And then we are going to glue up the 2 sides. I might need to do a little bit of trimming as well. So I'm just going to come in a little bit because I think I need to trim off some edges. So just those 2 sides. Gluing up here. And then we want to fold over. And then I just want to take off a little bit of a hinky edge on both actually. I'll just tidy those up. Like that. And then what we're going to have here is, again, if I get my pretend journal page, what we have is a page which looks decorative on both sides. Obviously we can add more to them. And we are open at the top for a top loading pocket. You could equally do it at the side, which I might try with the next one to show you. So again, I want my punch. Ooh, that was tough. I'm not sure why that was so tough to get through. Okay, and then we've got our thumb hole in the top. And again, you might want to ink around them. Now from here you can obviously further decorate your pages. What I've done in the past is maybe I've chosen one side that's going to be my decorative side, I suppose, and then on the inside maybe I would put like a writing spot or something. So I would probably put a writing spot here, so just some paper glued down, and then maybe here as well. And I like those lilies, so I would keep those and I would keep that. So you get like a writing spot and your two pockets. And as I say, it's part of your signature. So if we go with the same sort of idea, the difference is we're still going to fold these papers up this way. Again, I'm going to trim off some at the top there, so like so. And this time we're going to glue along this edge here. So glue those together. I'm just going to fold that over in case things want to move. Sometimes, squeaky book page, sometimes things move, don't they, when you're gluing. So just give that a little bit of a burnish down. That's it. And then instead this time we have this side, if we actually let the glue dry again, we have this side open and this side. So again, I need to do some trimming, but if you imagine this is in your signature and we have a pocket here with a little tab poking out would be nice. Instead of from the top like how we did before. But they're large book pages, so that's a very good use for them whilst still maximising the bits of the image that you like. And then again, I'm just going to trim down here just to make sure everything is neat. Okay, and then similar to before, we can decide, do we want to cover any of it up with writing spots or anything? I mean, in my case, I really like all of it, so I probably wouldn't. And then I want my punch. Where are you? Right in front of me. Yeah. Try and go through it all again. That's it. And then again, you've got your side pocket there and your side pocket here. You could turn these into writing spots, or you could put little tucks on them, whatever you want to do. But straight away you have a page in your journal. Just put it on that side so it's easier to see. Page in your journal that is that you've got pockets for. And you know, those were large book pages that I would have had to trim up a lot in order to use them as, you know, pages on their own. I would have had to cover the backs of them because I didn't want all of the book page to show. I just wanted the pretty images. But this idea, obviously you're covering up the bits that you don't want to see and you're keeping the bits that you do. If you're doing this with a fragile book page, then you might want to put some tape in the middle just to give them a little bit of protection. These are quite, you know, sturdy-ish, so I think these will be absolutely fine. I think I'll go that way. Which way? Oh, this is the top loader, isn't it? Yeah, that's right. That's fine. So I've got 2 of those and 2 of this type, bigger again, all pocket pages. So I hope you've enjoyed seeing those come together. As I mentioned, I am going to go ahead and do some sewing, just because I think that will add something to them as well, you know, make them look a little bit more interesting. So I'll go off and do that now and I'll show you how they look. And I'm back. I've stitched around these 2 larger pockets and I actually absolutely love how it looks with the stitching. I don't know if you can see, but especially on this one where I didn't add anything to the page, I do think it has just finished them off nicely. Now, if you're new to sewing on paper, there's various things to know about. One of the things that I like to do is, if you can see the back of your stitching, so in this case obviously it's a page that is, you'll turn it either side, I like to run my bone folder or something flat like this, a ruler, I don't know, something like that. I like to run this over the back of my stitching just to close up the holes a little bit. It just flattens them down, because as the needle pierces the paper, I personally don't like how it looks on the other side. It does look a little bit not so great. What I then like to do after I've done that is I go over it with some ink, just like you would inking around the edge, but this time concentrating very much on those stitches, those holes. And once you've done that, you should find that it looks a lot neater at the back. Obviously the front is completely fine, but it's just the back piece. I don't know if you can, the sun's really coming in, so I don't know if you can sort of see the difference, but in the flesh there's definitely a difference there. So that's what I like to do. I am glad that I stitched them, because I do think it's added that little bit extra. And at this stage of making a journal, when I'm doing my pages and signatures and stuff, I don't usually stitch pages unless there's a specific reason for it. Only because by this point I just want to get the journal made and I want to move on to the next project. So I thought by doing it now, it might, you know, it might prompt me to do a few things like this. So that is that. I haven't sewn these 2 yet, because I was thinking I might add some journal spots to them and then sew around them. But I'll do that once I know where the extra paper is going. Okay, so that's one. gorgeous, aren't they? And that's 2. As I say, these book pages were sitting in my stash for about 2 years because I just was not doing anything with them. And same with these, actually. I've had these a while, these pages. Which way does this go? I can't even remember now. I think it's that way. So this one I won't add anything to, apart from maybe a bit of decoration when I come to use it, because I really like all of the imagery on that one. This one, which goes this way, doesn't it? I'll have just a scrap of paper on the front there, on the back here, and then I will also leave this and maybe just add a word or a label or something. So once I've done that, I will then stitch around them, because I do think it does just give it a really, really nice look. So that is technically 3 different types of pocket page, 2 pieces as a side loader, and I realise I've actually done them the same side, but they can go in your journal any which way, can't they? And then we've got this one, which is a double top loader into the journal, and we've got this one, which is a double side loader, and these 2 are made from the 2 large book pages. So I hope that's given you some ideas, or even just some inspiration to sit there and make up some pages in advance. And yeah, I'm going to put these into my secret garden stash now. These are going to look fabulous with everything else. So thank you ever so much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed seeing those come together, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Bye bye for now.